Watkins, Glen, New York, the site of a beautiful and legendary road course, which becomes the next race for the hopefuls as the race for the playoffs comes down to the final two races. The first of two comes your way tonight as we welcome you to the penultimate race in the regular season for the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series in 2022, race 17 from the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit. Excitement all over the place as we get closer to deciding the 15 that will race for a championship, and we're so happy to have you with us on MaxSpeedTV, where alongside Francisco Bacalhau atop the broadcast booth, my name is Kenneth Bueno. And Francisco, here we're coming down to the final 2 races. Of course, 1 week ago visited the Daytona International Speedway, or rather 2 weeks ago had a 1-week break, but we're back at it, our 3rd and final road course race of the season. Well, we've seen some wild races already in the left and right hand corner racetracks. We're probably going to see the same here tonight from a new and updated, reinvigorated Watkins Glen track.
Happy to be here from upstate New York, Kenneth, and our last road course race of the season, but it's actually one that we're looking forward to because of the way the last 2 have gone. We've had some thrilling battles for the lead, for the win, and for top positions over at Road America. We saw the same thing over at COTA a couple of weeks ago. I'm excited to see what Watkins Glen has to offer. Normally a track that provides great racing here. It's a fast road course. I think we might see some great action here. You mentioned it. It's not reconfigured, but repaved. You see the fresh pavement, the updated curbing, the updated signs, the grandstands, all of that. So that should play a role relative to the last time we were at this racetrack a season ago where Brian M. Smith took victory. We're going to see who takes the victory here tonight. No Brian M. Smith anymore. But I think this new surface and the new car is going to play a good role as to what we might see out of the racing here tonight. Of course, we are in upstate New York, Watkins Glen, New York, 2.45 mile racetrack, just under 2.5 miles, 7 turns, and we've been racing here since the 1950s, Kenneth. So this is an old school racetrack. A lot of Europeans love this racetrack considering it has that old school nature to it. It's a classic track. We've had Formula One Grand Prix hosted here. IndyCar's raced here up until 2017. And of course, NASCAR's been coming here ever since 1956. So Watkins Glen, a traditional racetrack. It's not, you don't really see racetracks like this anymore, Kenneth, but it's always known for good racing.
That's definitely true. It's a legendary track, and you said it. F1 races in the past, of course, sports car racing that still happens here at Watkins Glen. In fact, I think in just a couple of weeks we'll have the 6 hours of Watkins Glen just a little bit with the sports cars and, of course, NASCAR coming to this track. So a lot of history here at Watkins Glen, but you also said the next-gen car and a brand new look on the iRacing service when they reinvigorated this Watkins Glen track to updated it visually and, of course, added new pavement to give it more grip and such. So it is basically a new track, a new challenge for all of these guys, and that's the thing that we've been harping on this entire season, is just the newness of everything, the cars and the venues, and of course the amount of drivers we've seen go through the field, win races, and so on and so forth. But of course, we cannot go into a road course race without looking back in the rearview mirror to the last time we visited a road course in Francisco, the crazy finish in turn 20 as Lawson Peel lost the race car. Austin Reedy was chasing just behind, and it gave Austin Reedy his 2nd win of this 2022 season. It was an unbelievable race. We talked about fuel strategy, a lot of guys moving up and down throughout the field, but this finish just sealed it off.
It couldn't be more dramatic than what it was, Kenneth. We were on our toes the whole time, wondering if they could even make it on fuel. And the next thing you know, the 12 Appeal kind of tries to squirt the throttle, and he spins it off the final corner. Reedy, who was worried he was about to run out, and he did just as he came across the line, was able to just get past the spinning car and take the win. And we see there, you see the onboards as the video is showing, just trouble for the top 2 there in the final corner. One of them, though, was able to manage the difficulty of the fuel situation, just get it across the line. I've never seen such an action-packed road course race, let alone a road course finish, Kenneth. It's not that common to get these kind of results, but that's been the way this season's been with these race cars on the tracks that we've gone to. Again, it makes me excited to see what we have here tonight in store when it comes to the Watkins Glen circuit. And I really hope it's going to be good. You see right here now on your screen the points. Lawson Peel, 5 wins on the season, Kenneth. That's probably up there with one of the most we've ever seen in any season we've been covering this league. And it's not even the playoffs yet, so it's going to be a strong outing for Lawson Peel, definitely racking up those playoff points to try and move on through the first couple of rounds. Eric Schaefer has 3 wins, Reedy with the 2 wins. AJ Green has 2 wins, his 2nd one coming recently at the Daytona International Speedway, I believe. So it's looking really good up there for those guys, and other guys are trying to see if they can squeeze in and get into the top 15 in points to make that playoff cutoff, Kenneth, because after today, we have just one more race, and it's at Kansas Speedway in a week from today, and that's going to determine our playoff field starting at Nashville at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's going to mean a lot. Of course, this road course race is going to add a little more unpredictability to what's already been an unpredictable season. And of course, you looked at the point standings, many different winners, and 4 of them have already won more than 1 race. Of course, Lawson Peel having the most at 5. His most recent coming at the Homestead of Miami Speedway a couple of weeks back, and also won the Dash for Cash qualifier. And Francisco mentioned a good point, AJ Green getting his 2nd win of the season. It's been a while since we've seen that beef machine in victory lane. Last time he went to victory lane for a win was at Richmond International Raceway. So it's been a while since AJ Green has gone to victory lane. He's already sealed himself for the playoffs, but still a lot of uncertainty for a lot of drivers, including the one starting up at the front of the field. And with that, we'll take it trackside and take you through our starting grid, see exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be lining up here tonight from the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit. It's not a Lawson Peel, no surprise. The 12 car with a 111.081. He'll be the first to see the green with Kyle Benson to his outside. Kyle Benson, a driver on the cusp of being outside of the top 15 for the playoffs. He needs a good race tonight from P2.
First time racing in this league. Brady Weileman, not new to both of us, Kenneth. A great effort here. He's going to start from P3 with championship from last season. AJ Green starting in P4, trying to see if he can have another good road run.
We'll look through row number 3. You'll see Colin Forster in the 99. He'll have Kevin D'Elia to his outside in the 53. And what's going to be different here, we're going to roll through the grid here very quickly because I believe we have a standing start from Watkins Glen. I do not see a pace car anywhere in front of the drivers. Adam Alashire, Cody Kinsey on the drivers in the P8 top 8 positions. Row number 5, you see everybody through, but the revs are high. Green flag is out from Watkins Glen, a very unorthodox start, and the 42, Christopher Bishop, is around into the inside wall. Couple of cars around already. It's a crazy start as the field chases for turn 1, and half of the field is around.
Oh my goodness, what a start here at turn 1. Pole sitter spins, your 3rd place starter spins. Everybody at the front of the field has trouble in turn 1. Damaged cars, people still going around. More contact there with Pila and Marquis Harris. You see a couple cars at the back of the field only just starting to get going. You see right there the 28 of Jaden Porter involved. He's also in his first race. That gives the lead to Kyle Benson, and Kevin D'Elia is now in 2nd.
What happened in turn 1? It practically went chaotic since the drop of the green, and it was a standing start. Everybody kicking off the rear tires. It was Christopher Bishop that went around first and then basically tagged everybody in it. AJ Green, Jaden Porter, Matt Roberts, who looks to have, I believe that's CJ when you're actually overshooting the bus stop. He's going to stop and give the positions away and fire back up, but everybody practically in trouble. Lawson Peel went around, Austin Reedy, also the same dilemma. So it's an insane lap 1, but it's Kyle Benson at the front, Kevin D'Elia 2nd, and Cody Kinsey moving into 3rd.
I was not expecting the standing start there, Kenneth. We hadn't seen that in the other 2 road courses, and you saw there were guys prepared to do a standing start. I'm not sure many of them probably knew about it, but if they did, what kind of preparations would you have to make? Of course, a standing start isn't really common in stock cars. I think the only modern racing series that truly does standing starts are MotoGP and Formula One. So to have something like that, I think we've only really seen a standing start of that nature only once. And I can think back to the first time I was in the booth with you, Kenneth, if you remember, TRL Truck Series at Daytona just almost 2 years ago. And that was a very hectic start as well. A couple of cars going around in turn 1 and very similar results there.
That kind of just reminded me of the big stack up when Indianapolis, the Grand Prix happened for IndyCar. The first time they went there, they did a standing start on the front straightaway, and it was one of the drivers that stalled the race car, and everybody was trying to scour to get around, and they slammed into him, and it was just a huge crash. There's Lawson Peel, who fell back to 10th after starting on the pole, and you can tell some of the right front damage on his Chevrolet Camaro. That's already not good news. Fortunately, it's not enough to torture the race car and at least damage it to the point where it's undrivable, but the 12 is going to have a lot to work over here, a lot more positions he has to gain as Tyler Murray peaks back. He falls to 10th. Brandon Banks is also there in 11th. Tyler Werner not too far behind. He fell a couple of spots short. He is back in P12. An unbelievable start here from Watkins Glen, but the battles continue through the field. How about Colin Forster, Cody Kinsey going at it for 4th, Lance Hill the 3rd car behind.
I think something that we haven't mentioned yet, Kenneth, is that since the last time these guys took the racetrack, we've had some major updates to iRacing with this next-gen car. There's been a setup changes that have changed the drivability of this race car, particularly on ovals, but of course on the road courses as well, and a new damage model. So guys that get hit with their race cars and hit stuff, they have to be very careful because that new damage model, you get pieces torn off the race car. If you hit anything with your tires and the suspension, it could easily come apart. Like we see in real life, minor hits to critical areas could severely damage your race car and may warrant a fast repair, even though from the outside it doesn't look that bad. You see Forster was looking to the inside of Kinsey there. He's going to stay looking to the outside. Might try and cross him over. He's going to cut to the inside. Oh, that's going to result in contact, and both of them spin. And they save it, but he isn't going to hit again. Everybody keeps going, though.
And that's a slam, and you just talked about the damage model, the 44, Brady Wildman. I think he has totaling damage. You see the left front wobbling and the car all over the place, and he's going to almost go for a spin entering turn one. That's a huge hit. He's just going to slam into the tire barriers. It's been... I'm not sure how to describe the first 4 laps of the race, and you saw the dive in by Colin Forster. And it was just a huge catastrophe from there. The leaders have been practically content staying up front. Kyle Benson continues to lead, and now problems for the 99.
Everybody's having trouble the opening laps, Kenneth. I've never seen it this bad before. Oh my God, it was very similar at Coda that we saw all this craziness. But right now, it's mainly because of the damage. You see a little bit of an issue there on the right front for the 99 of Forster, and Wildman's still struggling to try and move along the racetrack with his left front issue. So you see right here, Forster wants to take the access road so that he doesn't have to cause any issues. There you see Wildman a little bit further back. These two are well off the pace with the damage to the suspension. They're trying to make it back to pit road and take fast repair so they can clean up the race car. You see the cone is going to take a ride with Colin Forster, at least for the rest of this lap. We'll try and get a look at what just happened. And Wildman, of course, had his issue back there in turn 1, but we have to go all the way back here to turn 7. It looked like he was trying to set him up for the next corner and got a little bit antsy and tried to dial one up down the inside, and just gets a little bit loose, but also he just kind of clips onto the grass almost. He goes right over the curb into the grass and just goes into the side of the 93 Kinsey. And there you see right there, both of these guys going back around. Wildman's going to probably hit the outside wall. Indeed, he does. But they're both going to get to pit road, and they have to go through pit road speed. Wildman probably a little bit faster on that entry, but both of those guys' races, at least for a top 5 position or so, are most likely not looking like it's going to end up in their way after these early struggles right now, Kenneth. It's only lap 5 of 55, so a lot of stuff has happened, but a lot of stuff is yet to happen.
Yeah, a lot, definitely so. And I didn't notice the damage there, the tolling damage on the 99 of Forster when he had hit Brady Wildman, gave him tolling damage, but then Forster also picked up tolling damage of his own. So both of them severely damaged, and they have both taken it to pit road. They have taken it behind the wall, so their night's already over as of lap 5, and that's a huge dash to Colin Forster, who was running a paint scheme that did go to victory lane earlier last week on Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series at Sonoma, where Daniel Suarez got his first ever NASCAR Cup Series win in that track house number 99. That was also some of the similar scheme that went to victory lane at Coda with the likes of Ross Chastain behind the wheel. Forster going to be out of this one early. Here's a battle for P11. That's Austin Reedy, the former winner at a road course at Circuit of the Americas. AJ Green just behind, and it's a new look for the number 3, now usually formerly the number 48, AJ Green, with a brand new colorful scheme on his Chevrolet Camaro and a brand new number sporting the Dale Earnhardt Incorporated number 3 tonight.
I believe this is a throwback for this week. He decided to want to run a throwback for Dale Earnhardt, and that's what he's doing out here tonight. I expect to see him back in his usual paint and his usual color in the future when we head over to the Kansas Speedway, or maybe even for the playoffs. We'll see if that ends up being the case. And you see right there, Kinsey, a little bit of trouble into the corner, almost gets into that flat part, which could have resulted in a spin, but he's able to keep it on the curb side with the banking, given the elevation change there in that part of the racetrack, and he's losing 2 or 3 spots there. Unfortunately, Reedy able to get by, and so does AJ Green. He's going to have another one on his toes soon. But there you see Craig Lautenschlager has a big gap in front of him, and actually here's Lance Hill make the inside. This is for P3, so the final step on the podium. Hill is no slouch on these road courses. He did get a win on a road course earlier in the season. He got the one at Road America, and he's also been very fast at Watkins Glen in seasons past. So you see another move a little bit further back. That's Alshire trying to get around the 13. He's going to try and set it up going into the bus stop. I'm still not sure that's exactly a great passing zone, But regardless of that, you see Peel now looking to the inside. I think the 14 is going to go a little bit defensive, but Peel's going to have a very sharp angle going to his corner. That's not going to be pretty, and he has to really back out of it to make sure he doesn't hit the 14. And 14 actually hits the curb, jumps through there. He might have a little bit of a slowdown there. He's going to move off the bottom, and you see right there, going to try and let him go while not losing too much time, probably because of that little bit of a curb hop that you saw there in the bus stop.
Yeah, it was a little mistake there for the 14 of Alishire, but it will cost him P5. And Lawson Peel, despite the incident out of turn 1, he is back to the top 5 and pretty close to snatching up a top 3 if he can get to Lounslarger and Lance Hill quickly enough. So Peel already showing his road course stoutness here, much like at Circuit of the Americas and at Road America, where he was basically close to both wins and got it slashed away in 2 different ways. Remember, Canada Corner at Road America got into Lance Hill, then got taken out of the race practically for the win. And then at Circuit of the Americas, you saw the clip in the pre-race show, just went sideways out of turn 20 and allowed Austin Reedy to cross the line first. And that was during a fuel mileage situation. So Peel trying to get redemption here at these road course tracks and already doing some good work despite the mistakes to start off the event. And what I'm noticing here, Francisco, are drivers that are below the top 15 for the playoffs now having good outings. Kyle Benson goes into this race multiple points, I believe 27 points below the top 15. Adam Alishire even further back a couple of spots. So these guys definitely need some good runs and or wins to get into the playoffs in Season 4. And Benson and Alishire are definitely doing a good job to make sure they can at least have some life by the time we reach Kansas.
Yeah, Benson needs this. He needs this a lot, Kenneth. It's not been a great season for him. We talked about his struggles last season, but it's been worse this time around. I think he definitely needs to win this race in order to have a chance. We saw him struggle at Kansas in a previous season, not with speed, but with luck. He's going to need some luck here and hopefully hang on to this lead and try and capture this win here today, because that'll put him up into the playoffs. And I don't know if he can afford to not win this race and go and even make Kansas. That's a big if he can make that race. And if he does, then it's going to come down to a points battle. And you don't want to be in a points battle. If you can assure it here today, you want to make sure you do your job to seal it up, and you don't have to worry about Kansas in a week. You start thinking about those playoff races, those playoff tracks, and start doing your business there. We know Benson is very consistent when it comes to the playoffs. He was very consistent last season after his win at Darlington to start the playoffs. That he was able to make the championship 5 with ease and no worries and try and battle for a championship. He's made it the last 2 times. He wants to make it a 3rd time in a row. Failed to win the other 2 championships, Kenneth, but I feel that if you can get there a 3rd time, the 3rd time might just be a charm.
It's definitely true, and for Alishire here, you watch him on the outskirts of this battle for 4th between Lounslarger and Lawson Peel. Alishire was a championship 5 driver last season, so he's got a lot riding if he does not make the playoffs this season. That's going to be a big hit to the 14, the Stonks Motorsports driver in the Chase Briscoe paint scheme running this year, the Ford Mustang. If he cannot get to at least the playoffs and at least try to run for the championship, doesn't need to be a championship 5 appearance once again, but at least a playoff appearance will mean a lot to continue the success that Stonks Motorsports have been putting up so far after their entrance into the series just last season. Here's Curtis Kelly, Austin Reedy fight for 7th. Austin Reedy already doing some good work here to start off this race, and of course, I don't think anyone can say they had a good lap 1 because everyone had a crazy and either terrible lap 1 to start. Austin Reedy went for a spin, fortunately didn't pick up any damage, and now he is putting the road course skills to use here as he enters the bus stop. Will back it up before entering and hopping over the curbs, and that's also one thing that's changed here. Benson, I think, has gone around. Indeed, you're right, he is in trouble. Kevin D'Elia moves to the race lead.
Benson had an issue at the exit of the carousel. I think he got very optimistic on the throttle, and as he went over the curb, the car just came around. He overcorrects it, does a 360. The back end barely touches the guardrail, so he has some rear damage. But fortunately for him, it was the rear of the car that hit there. So not too much damage. Does not going to affect the car too much. Stacy right there, he taps the wall, and it keeps him going straight, so he doesn't lose too much time. Unfortunately, he lost the race lead. So at the start of this race, Kenneth, or even before then, I don't think on anybody's bingo card yet Kevin D'Elia leading the race.
I have no idea how everything has developed so far. It has been intense, and we are still on our toes. I think it's just a testament to how crazy these road course races have been, and Kevin D'Elia now in the race lead. But what I was about to mention as we were watching the battle between Austin Reedy and such is the fact that you can now really hop over these curbs in Watkins Glen, especially on the bus stop side of things on the back straightaway, because on the older scan, you could really use up the curbs, kind of, but if you used it a little bit too much, it was too harsh on the race car, and you just could not have enough grip to get over there, and without at least having an incident or sliding into the grass. This time, of course, these curbs updated, the red and yellowish orange tinted curbs that are now featured on the current edition of Watkins Glen. Those curbs a little easier on the race cars, so you can hop over them without any troubles, as Kevin D'Elia gets loose out of turn 7, but he will remain with the race lead. Question is, will he be able to keep it with Kyle Benson hot on his heels behind? The battle for 4th has simmered down. Lance Hill has moved up to 3rd, and he's only a couple of seconds behind D'Elia and Benson, so that shows you not only just how much this lap 1 scenario affected the entire field, but also just how good the 53 and the 10 are. You can't discredit D'Elia in the race lead right now because he's got some pace.
Yeah, he started up in the front of the field, and he's been running it the whole time. He was one of the few cars that didn't have an issue on the opening lap and was able to gain the position. So if he can keep this up for the rest of the way, and it's going to be looking up for him. If he can keep the car clean, he could get a good result, because he doesn't have to win this race necessarily for it to be a good day for him. If he's able to get a top 3, it'll be just as good. We know Benson's been fast. He was pulling away on that opening run before the issue happened to him, and I believe right now he is getting really close behind him. As you see him move here onto the grass, goes Cody Kinsey to the outside, Marky Harris all the way to the inside. Not sure it's going to be a good line for him. It's going to really tighten things up. He's able to hold his own for the most part here in the bus stop, but as we enter the carousel, there you see a little bit now of a defensive line, able to keep the position, which is a little bit impressive there. He's going to hold on for now, and indeed so, the front of the field has tightened up a little bit. Benson has really closed the gap now on D'Elia, and he might be able to try and pounce here in a couple laps time. There you see the gap between 1 and 2, and D'Elia sideways going up the hill. That's going to allow Benson to have a run down this whole back straightaway. Man, we've seen a lot of drivers get loose, especially on that first little turn on the S's going up the hill. That second turn really induces a lot of understeer, so drivers hitting that outside guardrail if they get a little bit too greedy. But D'Elia got way loose, kicked out the rear end, and that gives some more time to Benson here. Maybe make a methodical approach here as they exit the carousel. Benson not trying to make the same mistake he did to give away the race lead. This time way smoother off the exit on the throttle, hops over the curbs, and will have an attack here on D'Elia by the time they reach turn 6 and turn 7. So it was a big mistake to give Kevin D'Elia the race lead, Francisco, but fortunately with the way he spun and with the lack of damage he accrued on the rear end of the race car, he basically got a saving grace, and they gave him sort of like that Juan Pablo Montoya 360 in kart 1999 Portland, where he basically went for a full 360 on the restart. And now here comes Benson to the inside and will duck in. Not enough pace to get underneath. D'Elia overshoots, goes up the hill, will go sideways, and here comes Benson with a challenge up the S's. On D'Elia, I think he got a slowdown because of how long he stayed out there, and that's what gave him the lead. Otherwise, he definitely would have kept that spot, and look how much time he had to give up. And that's a problem there when you exit turn 1. If you go too far wide or you stay out there for too long, it'll actually give you a slowdown compared to if you just barely go a little bit wide off the corner. We know that guys very commonly like to go past that curve going into the second turn as you go up the hill because it gives you a better angle. And if you do that, if you go too far and too long, you can be right just in there in a custom P1, able to still keep the 10 on the side. But we know that so far the 10 has been consistently faster. If you don't look too far back, there you see the other battle for P3 on through the rest of the top 5. There's Marky Harris still kind of holding up this group back here with Cody Kinsey, still taking defensive lines going into the bus stop, and a move is being made behind him. Very close call with Kinsey. And the cars behind him, they're all stuck behind this 5, and I think Kinsey's going to look to the inside into the carousel. Harris is leaving that bottom open. If Kinsey can fill it and get side by side with the 5, it could help his shot. Almost gets into him in that right rear. He's going to try and see if he can remain on the side of the 5. I think he got cleared right there, but he's still living in the space. Harris hard into the corner. I think Kinsey's going to try the crossover here, maybe peek back down to the bottom. No, the 5 went in there really hard. The 93 is going to have a shot going into turn 1.
And we've seen the top 13 on back practically stack up. You see a long line of cars. Mark Harris trying to play defensive. Kinsey moves to the outside. He'll try to dive hard on the brakes for turn one. Harris going to slide into the 93 and shut the door once again, and it'll open the door here for Tyler Warner to take away 14th. So every mistake these guys are making are costing them spots on the track. Kinsey ends up in the grass. Here comes Bishop, and even more so, you got Tony Kibbett behind, Jaden Porter, Jesse Breeze. So there's a lot of cars here on tally for position.
Yeah, it's just a big stack up right now behind Marquis Harris. This is what you call the train right here. Oh, and a lock up there from the 33 of Warner. He's going to go through the grass. Almost gets into the 93 of Kinsey as he's trying to get it back onto the racetrack. You have to give kudos to the 5 for being able to manage to do this, but you have to feel for everybody behind him. They're probably all getting frustrated, getting held up behind him, probably feel like they're kind of slowing down their race and preventing them from being able to make a charge to the top 10.
And here's a look on board. Jaden Porter, the 28, one of the rookie drivers here in the 4-Wide Racing Cup Series. This is his debut race. Of course, Brady Weileman, the other debut driver, but unfortunately had the toe link damage. He is out of this race, so didn't get to maximize his first start in this series. But Porter had a couple of issues out of turn one, much like the rest of the field, but has had a good comeback since. Has now moved up to the top 14. We did have a driver come down pit road. I believe it was not Christopher Bishop, but it's Tyler Warner in the 33. We have gone 16 laps on this stint, so I believe, Francisco, we could be talking about pit road very soon. And the 33, one of the first to strike.
It's a fast road course, and it's not that long, Kenneth. I actually think the window here might be longer than at other courses. We went about, 17 or 18 laps over at Coda. Yeah, these guys could probably go closer to 25 if you really think about it. So I don't expect to see pit stops this quickly, but if you can get it towards that 20 to 25 range, you're probably looking at 2 stops most likely. And I think that's probably what the driver of the 33 plans on doing. He plans on stopping 2 times, having 3 stints, so he plans to stop again somewhere with like about 20 laps to go and be able to make it safely to the end of the race on fuel. So no real concerns. I don't think the 1 stop is in play here tonight, but if it is, it might just open itself up to another Coda situation, which as seen before, it's not exactly something we wouldn't mind seeing.
I was just about to say that. It would be a mirror image of Circuit of the Americas with the way that we had the options between saving all the way halfway to a 1-stop strategy to get to the end, or whether you just wanted to play it safe and keep it to 2-stop strategies. Of course, track position is going to matter here at Watkins Glen, so depending on which way the wind could blow when it comes down to 1 or 2 stops, if we have that, then we'll have the swaying in driver decision based on where they are on track. Lawson Peel has been trying to methodically work on the 13 of Lauenslager, but it has not come to success just yet. And Peel has not been the fastest out on the racetrack. He has actually been substantially quicker than some of the drivers up at the front, but he has just been stuck behind this 13, hasn't been able to do too much. I think this time, coming into turn 1, might hop on the brakes later than the 13. With the 13, too much space ahead, and a lockup out of the 12, so Peel will lose even more time coming out of turn 1. And you mentioned it, Francisco, the updates to these next-gen cars, it made it a little more bearable on the road courses, because before, if you got the car sideways, good luck to you, it would be very hard to save it. Now, they seem to have a little more stability on these road courses. The setups, though, have changed significantly on these cars as well, so you have to treat them very differently, and they are very, very unlike the previous next-gen cars that we raced at Circuit of the Americas and at Road America earlier this year. So there's a lot to account for, and those practice laps may come into play here just because these cars have changed a lot in a short span of time.
And it's not just at road courses too. The same can be said about these cars over on the ovals. They're more stable, a little bit more like what we see now in real life. I feel that the cars that we had before were a little bit closer to what we saw over at Auto Club when they finally unloaded at a track that was not Daytona International Speedway, and I feel like there wasn't that much knowledge on the cars by then. Now that we have a little bit of a better notebook on the next-gen race cars, iRacing made the proper adjustments to be able to make the car a little bit more drivable. If we're being honest, the car was rather unstable to the point where it was just hit or miss on every corner far into a run. I think now it's closer, definitely closer is probably the word I'd use to describe where the car is, and we're going to see, at least down the road course, it's going to be a little bit harder to tell. I think the true testament will be once we go to the oval racetracks, if we can see a lot more green flag runs like we kind of saw last season, Kenneth. I feel if that's what happens, then it'll definitely be as a result of the changes made to the race cars. But right now, you see on your screen, a couple of cars have come down pit road, the 14 of Alshire and the 12 of Lawson Peel. This is lap 19, and I think these are guys that are trying to make it on that 2-stop no reason to stretch the fuel or do any sort of that. If you're going to have to stop twice, try to keep it as even as possible to have the freshest tires throughout. And right now, Benson's still staying on the racetrack, leading the race, has built up a gap to Kevin D'Elia. We'll see if he decides to come down pit road this time. If he feels he has to race one of those guys, and if he does not decide to bring it out pit road, neither does D'Elia. They're going to keep staying out here for now on the racetrack. So nobody in the top 4 has pit now. So Peel's going to try and use those fresh tires to an advantage to try and see what he can do. And crucially, you see right there, actually exits out ahead of the 93 of Cody Kinsey and 28 of Jaden Porter, so he won't get held up by those guys further back there. He's going to try and use those fresh tires now and see if he can start cutting into those leaders.
We still got a good gap all the way to Brandon T. Banks, who is lodged in P8. We'll see if the 88 comes down pit road, and as he comes to turn 1, the answer is, of course, no. He'll stay out with the leaders up at the front who are willing to stretch this out, and probably will stretch it to the till the tank runs dry, if I could say that correctly. A tongue twister here, Watkins Glen. But Benson and company going to stay on the racetrack, and we'll see what they do as we approach lap number 20. Still 35 laps to go from Watkins Glen International. And to touch on your point, Francisco, with the changes to these next-gen cars and in comparison to what the real-life guys were facing by the time they reached Auto Club, and of course, now that they have a lot more notes on this car than they ever did in previous history. I mean, you can also say the same about this relationship between NASCAR and iRacing. You could say that now it's as strong than it's ever been. It's stronger than it has been in years past, and yes, they've worked together to develop the Gen 6, which made its debut in 2013 on iRacing. You think about the new next-gen updates with the 550 horsepower package, but the development of this next-gen car since 2019, I think iRacing has been hand-in-hand with NASCAR ever since they took the first step on the concept of this car, and it's allowed for more accurate data and, of course, a more accurate NASCAR Cup Series machine for 2022. There's a look at Bishop, who I think went into the wall. That right front is destroyed. The pretty much tire cambered all the way to the side as Lounslogger hits pit road.
That's a lot of damage on that 42. Don't know for sure where that came from, but it's definitely not thinking that fast repair if the car is like that right now. And I'll show a little bit of a blink out right there as we're trying to see what happened here to Bishop. You see right there in turn 6 is where the problem arose.
Oh, the car was already destroyed on the tolling.
Yeah, no turnability, and you see hard in there. Oh, he had trouble at the exit of the bus stop, so we'll see here. Goes wide, gets on the curb, clips the grass right there. Car gets loose, and oh, into the inside wall there. That's what hurt the right front. So as he tries to go around the racetrack, get it back to pit road, of course, no turning on that side, and that's what gave him that damage. So not ideal stuff there for Christopher Bishop, Kenneth. And you see a couple more pit stops now as Lance Hill's making his way down pit road. These guys still have to stop again after these pit stops, so still nobody can go the rest of the distance. But Benson still hasn't come down pit road. Excuse me. But another thing that we have seen updated on iRacing, which wasn't present today for 2 reasons. 1, because they haven't added it on road courses, but 2, we had a standing start. But we'll see next week and so forth into the playoffs at Kansas, is iRacing has now added the official restart zones, Kenneth, and that's going to be very interesting for races because previously normal standard league procedures would say that once the pace car pulls off on restarts, the leader can go whenever they desire, but now we have restart zones. So that means when we get to that blue marked restart zone by Geico that we see on all the other oval racetracks, the leader can go there, and we'll see what kind of impact that has on restarts because now second place, third place, and fourth place, and everybody on back, they have an idea of where that leader will go, so it should kind of mitigate the advantage the leader has. The leader will obviously still have the advantage of going first, but it will allow second and third to kind of time it a little bit better because they visually have an idea of when they just might go.
And we'll see that visually as well on the racetrack. We'll see the restarts be a little more even between the leader and everybody else. Prior on the ovals, you could have the leader go at any point once the pace car hits pit road, and more often than not, we see drivers basically throw off the rest of the field and get 1-second leads and huge gaps by the time they enter turn 1. I believe when that restart zone rule is implemented here in this series, and maybe it will by the time we reach Kansas for the regular season finale, then these restarts will be a lot more closer, and we'll see the leader not have as big of an advantage being up front as the rest of the field. Kevin D'Elia has just hit pit road for the first time tonight. Same deal for AJ Green. There's Curtis Kelly, 2 two yellow and blue cars here, so you can confuse them. Sort of a spotter's nightmare. There comes the 71 out of pit road. He would get ahead in front of AJ Green. And we have yet to see your race leader, Kyle Benson, coming out of turn 6, enter pit road. Maybe lap 23 will be the signal. He'll slow down for turn 7, duck underneath the yellow line. And here comes Kyle Benson to pit road for the first time tonight.
No one-stop attempt here. These guys are going to go and try and go the two-stop here. You see the 11 of Reedy stays out another lap. Still obviously not close enough, because if you do the math here, if you try and go as long as you did on this run, the next run, you'd probably go... you probably barely would reach 50, and you stop another 5 laps to go. So for most of the field, I think the two-stop is definitely what it's going to look like. And I think right now what it comes down to is, when do you make those stops? I think it's coming down to, when do you want to have a tire advantage? And you see Peel pitted early, and that's put him ahead of Kevin D'Elia. So he's gained a lot of time, and he does have some natural pace in his race car. Maybe he wanted to gain time, get rid of those cars that were in front of him, kind of get a little bit of a cleaner track. So even if he does have slightly older tires, it's a net gain because of the fact that he probably puts himself closer to the front of the field and can have a little bit less problems, if you will, when it comes to trying to make passes. So now he has clean air, can lose less time.
D'Elia's around out of turn 1. Yeah, D'Elia went around. Craig Lounslugger goes by. Fortunately, D'Elia escapes without any damage. And I was about to mention, to turn off your point, Francisco, the fact that track position meaning so much when you come down pit road. D'Elia's about to lose all of it here.
Yeah, and that comes down to cold tires. He pitted not too long ago, Kenneth, and that's still one thing that's apparent with this cars. With all the changes that have been made, one thing is true and one thing will still be true. Cold tires is going to be a problem with these race cars. They have trouble speed up that quickly because of the sidewall being so small compared to the old tires that NASCAR used with their race cars. You see that very thin sidewall, low profile tires. It's going to be a problem trying to warm these tires up. It probably could take them 2 or 3 laps to really get warmed up. So if they're not in the proper working range, then you're going to see issues. And there's Austin Reedy now making it down pit road, as I believe that's the AJ Green machine back down pit road. Once again, you see right there exiting the pit stall now. Did have some damage on his race car, so I wonder exactly where this damage occurred. Probably in the bus stop, if you see that toe link, and actually way before. And in fact, it happened a whole lap previous. So it was actually when he was exiting pit road. We're going to be right there as he exits pit road, clips the grass, and wow, into the outside wall hard, and breaks the toe link. And I think the worst part about this, Kenneth, is it happened as he exited pit road, which meant he had to complete a whole lap around the racetrack with that damage before he can get it fixed.
That is so unfortunate, and he's going to miss the bus stop this time, and that's right in front of Lawson Peel, Austin Reedy. Basically, the drivers fighting for at least the top 3 right now. Peel in 3rd, Austin Reedy in 4th, and AJ Green already bound to go 2 laps down here. He'll be the first driver to go 2 laps down in P20. Also, to know Christopher Bishop, we saw him pick up damage coming out of the bus stop into the carousel. He has pulled it behind the wall. He is the 3rd DNF here tonight from Watkins Glen International. But what I'm seeing is a lot of grass contact resulting in huge crashes. You saw the 3 of AJ Green get into the grass, barely coming out of pit road, then went sideways, hit the outside guardrail. Same deal for Christopher Bishop, tagged the grass coming out of the bus stop, and that basically spelled disaster for him, and Bishop ended up with the huge damage to the toe link and had to really make it down pit road with a lot of effort to make sure the car didn't get any more damage. So the grass behaving quite unpredictably and quite harmful to these drivers here at Watkins Glen. You got to be very careful, as officially AJ Green goes 2 laps down.
As you look at the running order right now, Peel is in the 2nd spot. Kyle Benson is leading by a healthy margin over Lawson Peel, but there's clean racetrack between them. As you see the 6 of Newbraw almost making contact as he's getting lapped by Benson. A little bit of a heart skip moment there for the 10 of Benson as he's lapping the 6 car. He's going to be able to stay lucky that he didn't make any contact. He's going to try and keep going, trying to keep this pace up. Of course, Peel, we know he's fast, so he knows that now Peel has moved up into 2nd, and even though he has that tire advantage, the 12 is fast at the end of the day, so he doesn't want to really give him any time now that he's moved up into 2nd. There's no cars between them apart from lappers, but there's so much of a time difference between them that it just matters when they catch him instead of just having them in between at all, especially with no cautions coming out in this run. So Peel does have a good amount of time. We are just approaching the halfway point of the race, the next lap by. So Peel does have a good amount of time to try and make up that gap.
It's definitely true, and fast is right. Last time by the start-finish line, Peel set a 1 minute 11.1. Your race leader, Kyle Benson, set a 1 minute 11.843. So it's almost a 7/10 of a second advantage for Lawson Peel. It just shows you how good Peel is at these road courses. And of course, Peel was the pole sitter before he went around in turn 1, so you also can't discredit that. You can't forget, despite the craziness we had at the exit of turn 1 with practically everyone in the field, there's Austin Reedy getting around the lap car. AJ Green, he's going to get by without any troubles. And also to note, Kyle Benson picked up his faster pair on pit road. Remember that slight right rear damage that he picked up from that spin that gave Kevin DeLeo the lead? Benson had the check marked on the faster pair box when he entered pit road, so he's got the faster pair completely torn off, and now if he gets any more damage, he's going to have to assess it solely by going down pit road, and that may mean a lot if he makes a big mistake.
I was just about to say something related to that. I don't think that was a good move. I'm not sure if it was a conscious decision or if he didn't realize it was on. But if you have that kind of minimal damage, especially at a road course, you're probably better off not using the faster pair. You probably only really want to use the faster pair if you get some sort of toe link damage, which we've seen be the case. If you make a mistake and you damage your car that badly, you want to make sure you have the faster pair so you don't waste any time having to repair that. So we'll see if this ends up coming back to bite him soon. But I hope for his sake that it doesn't end up happening. But you have to be careful now and make sure he doesn't make any major mistakes to where it'll cause that kind of damage. And the lead right now between the top two is kind of maintaining at 8 seconds between Peel and the 10 of Benson. You see Alishire struck the outside wall. And another thing to point out here, Kenneth, the top 3 right now in reverse order is the same top 3 that finished in at COTA.
That's definitely true. Benson in first, Peel in second, Austin Reedy in third, and Benson was on basically the background of that Circuit of the America battle. He was so far behind that obviously we weren't focusing on it because he was by himself, set to finish third, and then it was the battle between the top 2, and Benson, of course, trying to win his way in to the playoffs. Of course, again, like I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, 27 points below the cut line. Benson is going into tonight's event, so he's going to need a lot of work, and this win will basically lift off a lot of weight off the shoulders of this 10 who has had a dismal season as of late, and he's approaching a lot of lap traffic this time. The next car on line, Jesse Prees. He has Matt Roberts, Tony Kibbett slightly in front of him entering the bus stop, so Benson really has to tiptoe through a lot of the track here at Watkins Glen. That may lose him more time to your leader, Lawson Peel. It's about an 8-second advantage between the two, but obviously Benson may be susceptible to mistakes here as Jesse Prees will give the inside lane here to Benson, and it probably won't be a huge move here for Benson. He'll easily get by without any problems, and a couple of more cars behind. We'll see how aggressive they play it, but at the moment, it is not looking like the case.
Yeah, it depends on when he catches them as well, because, if he catches them at a bad time, then that could spell him some trouble and cost him time. But remember, also Peel has to catch and pass these cars as well, so it's not like it's only on the 10 to catch up to them and try and do something, as I believe we've lost a visual on these race cars.
Indeed, we have. Not sure exactly what happened with telemetry, but right now, Kyle Benson is your leader as of lap 29 of 55, closing in on the final 25 laps here from the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit. You won't miss a thing. We'll go to a commercial break for a moment, but when we come back, we'll have more of the 4Wide Racing Cup Series and race number 17 from Watkins Glen, New York. Kyle Benson, still your race leader by 8 seconds.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Waiting for innovation, all coming together in one place. The pedigree of more than 70 years of NASCAR history, from the past to the present, from Petty to Earnhardt to Elliott. Today, there's waiting. The future of NASCAR is now. Drive the next-gen cars today on iRacing and step into the next generation of racing.
Welcome back to the virtual Watkins Glen International Circuit, where we've had an interesting development here throughout the race. A caution was thrown out here, lap 32 of 55. We were just having an insane race already after lap 1. Multiple drivers spun out here on the race, and we were about to have a great finish with Kyle Benson in the race lead before multiple drivers, including your leader, Kyle Benson at the time, have just suffered disconnection issues here on the sim, and they threw the caution based off of that. Race control trying to assess the situation. We saw the leaders come on to pit road, and right now Austin Reedy is listed as the race leader, but Lawson Pia was the first one to bring him down into the lane. Of course, Kenneth Bueno, Francisco Bacalhau along with you for the ride. Francisco, this is an interesting development because not only did it push Kyle Benson and many others running in the front practically to the back of the field, Colin Forster, who was in the garage after the first opening laps, he's back in this race.
Yeah, this is. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this in a league race before. The only thing I can recall being similar to this, and you and I were talking, Coca-Cola iRacing event over at the Homestead Miami Speedway, where early on in the race, nearly half of the competitors suffered connection issues in that particular event, and it was very chaotic. I've never seen anything like that before, and similar things have happened here tonight. You and I had issues as well, and at first I thought it was a problem for spectators of the events, but as it turns out, a couple of drivers have been included in the issues here as well. So don't know exactly what the deal is. We're not sure if this is an internet issue or if this is an iRacing service overall issue. And if it is, then hopefully the right people message iRacing, get on support, and are able to notify them of this issue. And hopefully tomorrow at 8 a.m. when they open up their doors, they get hard on trying to be able to fix the issue.
I believe the servers have gone down here on iRacing, so things have gone very sour here for the drivers. Of course, trying to get points. We were talking about the storylines. Kyle Benson was very close to his very first win here in season number 4, and that would have obviously made things much better for the driver of the 10, is if he could get that win, it would lock him into the playoffs. He was at one point, or actually going into tonight's race, he is basically 27 points behind that top 15 cut line, and we're trying to get back into the server. We apologize for the technical difficulties here on MaxSpeedTV. We were just having a fantastic race, and Francisco, it was adding another step to the road course wildness that we had. Of course, Road America, how good that race was, and we came out of the race excited for the next one. Coda didn't disappoint, and this race was showing up, living up to the hype up to this point, and unfortunately, we've had some of the issues, and unfortunately, it's taken us out as broadcasters, and it's taken many of the drivers out of the server as well.
I think iRacing is testing out that rain feature, because this is something similar to what you'd see when rain comes by. Of course, now they have the rain tires. For the longest time there, well, if it rained, then you wouldn't be racing. So I think this is a little bit of kind of like that rain delay coverage you normally like to see. So right now, we're just kind of figuring out the situation as time goes by. We'll see if we get any updates from race control and iRacing. You mentioned the servers being down, so we'll have to see if they are able to get booted back up quickly as possible. Remember, it is almost 10 o'clock Eastern, so very difficult to have anybody over at tech support up right now that's able to assist us. The iRacing times, I believe, are from 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So to have somebody able to fix this right now, anyways, would be a miracle. But hopefully things do get fixed going forward. Of course, there's many leagues that run over on the service, and they run round the clock. So if we're able to get this stuff fixed, then it'll definitely save a couple of leagues going forward. Because, of course, this could affect us here tonight, but it also could affect other leagues that run in the next couple of days.
That's definitely true. And of course, with iRacing, they run many different servers, the main one being US East in Boston, which is the headquarters for iRacing. They're up in Chelmsford, Massachusetts, not too far away from downtown Boston, roughly a 25-minute drive if you can get there. And that's the main server, of course, since iRacing is headquartered there. And we've had problems before on servers, especially through build releases, and they've been very quick to get those sorted out. Hopefully it sorts out here itself. We are now back under green flag conditions, this time with Adam Alashire as your race leader. So things have changed dramatically. Lawson Peel is second. We've got a spin behind. That is AJ Green in the 3. He's picked it back up, and I believe as of race control, no word from them yet or the league owners. Right now the race is resuming as normal. Adam Alashire, your leader. Lawson Peel to second. And guess who's in third? Debut driver, Jaden Porter.
It's one of our drivers there, Kenneth. Of course, those that don't know, we own a race team, and that's one of our drivers right there. So no, hopefully no bias here, but I'm hoping to see him have a good job out there and bring home the hardware.
So the 28 in the Ally paint scheme, similar to what Alex Bowman runs every weekend on Sundays in the NASCAR Cup Series, trying to catch up to Lawson Peel here. Tyler Murray has moved up to 5th. So with these issues, it's brought a lot of guys back in it. Of course, again, no word from the league owners as to whether this race is going to continue as planned, or whether there will be a reschedule, or whether there will be a change in point standings or unofficial results based on the drivers who were affected. We can take a list and tell you the drivers that were a part of this group. Mark Harris in the 5. He was running a solid race up until this point. He's 21st. Cody Kinsey in the 93. Kyle Benson, who was at one point leading this race. Tyler Warner in the 33. It affected him as well. It's also affected Austin Reedy. So many drivers involved in this, and a lot of heavy hitters. You think about Austin Reedy, the defending winner at a road course at Circuit of the Americas. Kyle Benson, the leader of this race before it all happened. So tough scenario for everyone involved, I think.
And got word, Kenneth, that this race is going to continue as is. So whatever happens here happens, and right now, Alishar in a good spot to try and capture a win. Of course, he does have Lawson Peel behind him, who's trying to get yet another and get one on the road course that has been evading him this whole time. And we'll see if he's able to hang on. They do have a lap car up in front of him, but for now, top four kind of spread away from the rest of the field. And you see Peel really closing in there through the bus stop. Alishar is going to look to the inside of this lap car. I believe that's the 76 of Tony Kibbett that they're going by right now. And a move there to the inside of the 28 goes. Lonslugger kind of uses him up a little bit and takes a spot away. So move the 13 up to P3.
And we haven't talked about Craig Lonslugger much of tonight. Of course, he did not suffer those technical issues here in the sim, but regardless of what's happened so far, regardless of the craziness, I think Lonslugger has been one of the most, if not the cleanest car out in this entire track and one of the most consistent. So Lonslugger trying to put a fantastic effort together here at Watkins Glen if he can finish it in the last 20 laps of this race. Peel looking down on the inside of Alishar to turn one, but backed out immediately on the brakes. We'll try to look for the exit, and a momentum booster up through the S is a very big momentum style part of the track where you really have to keep your speed up. You get oversteer, snap on the first turn, understeer on the second part, and then it's just clear cut, full throttle all the way to the back straightaway and the bus stop, and a really good exit off of the S's up the hill for the 14 of Adam Alishar. That's about half a second between himself and Lawson Peel, but Peel will try to bring it back up in the braking zone.
And right now, league owner is communicating some information, and he's holding off on anything because I'm trying to listen here on what he's trying to say, Kenneth. But it looks like that they are going to continue doing this, but they may offer some consolations for the guys that were messed up with the issues. That whoever wins the race ends up winning the race, but I think they're going to be offering some consolation for the guys that suffered the issues, which by the look of it was mostly guys on the East Coast. It doesn't look like anybody in the Central, Mountain, or even Pacific time zone for the matter was affected that heavily. Mostly everybody on the East Coast.
It's definitely tough for the people on the East Coast, and we are back to stability in the sim, spectating the session, so hopefully drivers are able to get back in the session and at least finish the race if they can, the likes of Kyle Benson and a bunch of the other names that we mentioned that were a part of that. The ones who weren't and were DNF'd by the start of the race, Christopher Bishop, Brady Weileman, they were basically behind the wall before this entire connectivity issue happened, so they were out of this race already, and it didn't look like they were planning to get back out on the track as a big loose moment arises out of the 12, hopped over the curbs a little bit too much, and that Chevrolet got all sorts of sideways, but somehow he still remains the same time away from Adam Alishar as he was even before the bus stop, so Peel is still consistent as ever last time by. Set a lap 0.2 of a second slower. He's still there, and that is a warning sign for the 14.
Yeah, Alishar just has to make sure he can keep him behind him, which is easier said than done. But as long as he doesn't get by you, he still is in second place, which is what he needs right now to try and capture this win. Alishar has not won in a long time, Kenneth. He has not gotten a win since Daytona early last season, so it's been nearly 40 races since he's been able to go to victory lane. He made the championship 5 a season ago. It's been a struggle with bad luck this season, but if he's able to get this, it will give him the shot injection that he needs to go into these playoffs with momentum.
And Alishar has been consistent since the drop of the green, and it's not like he just came out of nowhere with these issues happening mid-portion of the race as we approach 17 laps to go. This 14 has been running top 5, top 10 all evening long, but this is his first time leading the race. Remember, Kyle Benson, 27 points below the cut line. He needed a win to advance if he wanted to at least give himself some solace going into Kansas. Adam Alishar was even worse on that end, was way below the top 15. In fact, he was 77 points below the top 15. He is still 77 points, but it will disappear if he's able to take the checkered flag tonight, although he's going to have to really hold off a hard-charging Lawson Peel, and maybe even the 13 and the 28, Craig Lounslugger, Jaden Porter. They've also been putting up good times, and they may catch up to these two if they get a little bit too rowdy up front.
Speaking of getting rowdy, if they do so, those two back there might just be in play. So if I were those two, I would not give up on battling and trying to close up on the top two, because they might get aggressive with one another and open up the door for one of these two to possibly take advantage of a mistake that one of them ends up making. And considering how road races have gone in the past, Kenneth, it wouldn't shock me.
Now, these road races have been so unbelievably different from every other race we've had this season. Here's a look on board the rear end Ford Mustang of Adam Alashar, your race leader, and a good launch off of the S's, but not as good as it was just a couple of laps back. Peel will close in a big braking zone out of the 12, and it will be good enough to hop over the curves, maybe good enough to get close enough to the carousel. Not going to get there in enough time. He'll close in on the inside just once more, and the gap has remained stable at about 0.4 of a second. It closed in by the time they exit the carousel here, 0.3 of a second. But Peel not significantly faster than your leader right now, so not enough of a stride to get to the front and to get to P1. And for Lawson Peel, Francisco, if he can get this win, not only will it be his first road course win of the season, it'll be his 6th race win of the year. And how dominant this 12 has been since the drop of the green at Daytona. It's been unbelievable to watch his progress from rookie driver winning at Richmond 1 season back to now in possibility of getting his 6th win of the calendar.
And if you go back to Atlanta, the final race of last season, it basically is 6 wins in the last 20 or so races on the series. So it's been a really good stretch in 2022 for this driver, and going back to the end of December. So really good stuff out of the 12 of Peel. He's been really fast and definitely the most improved driver, hands down, on the field. He went from that rookie driver with that 1 win, got the other win to end the season, but has really stepped it up this season, able to get those 5 wins, trying to chase down his 6th. And honestly, Kenneth, if it wasn't for 1 or 2 corners at certain tracks, he could have 6 or 7 right now. So it's been really impressive seeing what Peel's been able to do this season. Just a lot of speed that he's been able to bring every single week, a lot of consistency, and right now still has a chance to fight for the win. What I've noticed that he does seem to be able to charge these corners rather hard, but he gonna loses a little bit of the time on corner exit. Alashar doing what he has to maintain his lead on corner exit. The Peel doesn't want to give up just yet. They just come across the line for 14 laps to go. 14 laps here is a good bit, you know. Talk about 14 at maybe a short track or a mile racetrack, that's not that much time, but 14 laps here is very likely close to 20 minutes, so you still got a good bit of racing left to go.
Alashar will have to hold on for dear life in these 20 minutes, but he's done a good job of at least keeping Lawson Peel at bay. You're right on board with the Cobalt number 12 Chevrolet Camaro. This has been arguably his best part of the track, diving on the brakes here for this bus stop section before we head to the carousel, hopping over the curbs. A better look through the bus stop for Alashar that time. Will open the gap up before it closes in once more at the carousel, and that's as close as Peel has gotten so far in this run. Coming to 13 laps to go here from Watkins Glen, and the battle has not simmered. And you also think about the new updates to these iRacing next-gen cars. You also think about brake updates to these cars as well. They added an option on the fixed setup to be able to change the front and rear master cylinders on the brake, so you can change how this car handles when you hop on the brake pedal, whether it'll lock up quicker and you get better stopping power, or whether it will not lock up at all but you'll get worse braking power on the front and the rear. So these guys have also had to deal with those new updates here at a track that maximizes braking more like any other, and that's a good exit turn 1 up through the S's. Peel may have a chance, but Alashar is still too far to reach.
Of course, those master brake cylinders, the bigger they are, the more stopping power, but that opens up the possibility for locking up, so you have to kind of play around with that. You usually want to have it between 1/2 inch and 1 inch in diameter. As you go into the brake zone, Peel very hard, and the brake's going to close to the back with the brake rotors glowing. It's going to get right to the back bumper of the 14. We'll see if the 14 opens up that inside like he's done the last couple laps. And he's not going to do that. He's going to go right to the bottom of the racetrack. Peel trying to wrap around that curve and see if he can gain any little bit of time. And he's going to swing out very wide, almost towards the grass there at the end there. But I think these guys are approaching some lap traffic, Kenneth, not too far ahead. There should be a lap car in turn 7 right about now. And actually right there, it is the 8 of Tyler Murray, who was running 5th, but seemed to have some issues of his own that has put him down the order. And right now, he's on the verge of going a lap down. And
it looks like with the lack of damage on the 8, might have just had a harmless spin that basically took away all his track position. We saw him a little bit earlier moving up to the S's. He was fighting against Matt Roberts in the 16 for position on track. Matt Roberts currently in P6 right now, all running by himself. He was running in contention with the 8. And by the way, he may get passed by a car who's laps down, but is still in the race. Colin Forrester, remember, he put it behind the wall after totaling damage out of turn 7, hitting Brady Weileman and hitting Cody Kinsey on the entrance of the corner. And Forrester is able to pick up some more points, more definitely than he would have if he had stayed DNF'd in this race and not had the in-sim issues. He's up to 17.
He'll take the free spots, but it wasn't exactly necessary from his perspective when you consider the fact that he has the win. He's in the playoffs, but no, it's just good effort. Just trying to see if he can improve that final result and make it stand out a little bit better. I give props for him for doing that, but you see we cut back to the battle for the lead. More lap traffic ahead of these guys. Alishire feeling that pressure from Forrester, having to make sure he can keep the car steady in the right direction, and most importantly, in front of the 12 of Lawson Field. And this is a telling stat right there, Kenneth. Your pole sitter, 0 laps led here tonight, and he has the leader right in his sights.
And that's a wild stat to even think about. We've seen it happen before, obviously, where the pole sitter loses the lead in the first couple of corners by just getting past normally on the track. But it was a spin that took him out of the race lead and put him way far back in track position. And Peel trying to pick it back up and at least complete a comeback to the race win. But he lost a lot of time out of turn 1 coming up to the S's. And there's a lap car just in sight. I believe that's Michael Newbraw giving way to the top 2. So he won't be a problem when it comes down to first or second. And Adam Alishire doing a masterful job with 11 laps to go to keep the lead over the driver of the 12. And Alishire, of course, if he can get to victory lane, this will be his first win of season 4. He has not gone to victory lane. We think about the other stock motorsports drivers that have reached the checkered flag at least once this season. You think about Colin Forster, his win at Chicagoland. That one was a long time coming. AJ Green getting the win at Daytona a couple of weeks back. That was his second win of the season after winning at Richmond earlier in the calendar. Lance Hill getting the win at Road America, his first road course race here in his 4-wide Racing Cup Series career. But Adam Alishire has not won a race in season 4, so this will mean big time numbers for the 14 if he can at least get back to a playoff appearance and try to repeat his championship 5 appearance from one season back.
And I'll tell you what, the last lap or two, he's actually kind of pulled away from Lawson Field. So good couple laps there. He almost tags the guardrail. He's using up all the racetrack, but it's working. He's able to pull away from Peel in his best part of the racetrack.
And that last time by, they were practically even, but it was 0.06 of a second better for Alishire as the sun is coming out here at Watkins Glen, New York. It may affect the track temperatures just a little bit, may slicken things off here as the clouds have given way to the sunshine, and Adam Alishire is trying to shine as much as he can to get his first win, but there is still a lot of time left. This time, as they come across the stripe, coming out of turn 6 and turn 7, they will approach 9 laps left to go. Jesse Prees is the next lap car up ahead to overcome, but it may not be too big of an issue for Alishire nor Peel, and Peel starting to fall off here on this run.
It's important to note that third place Craig Lauensauger is about 5 to 6 seconds back. You see him exiting the final corner back there. Porter's another 1.5 seconds behind him. If these two do get together or get closer to each other and do anything similar to what we've seen in previous road courses, I would keep digging if I was the third and fourth place cars, because with how everything's been, with how the race has gone, you can't exactly throw anything away yet.
And there's the 13. A look at the Toyota Camry going up the S's. He has since gapped the 28 of Jaden Porter. There's a look at the Chevrolet just in sight behind the 13. And what a great debut race this has been for Jaden Porter in P4 right now. And hopefully we could see Brady Weileman show up for another 4-wide Racing Cup Series race a little bit later on in the calendar. Of course, won't be a playoff driver, but I don't think we got the full Brady Weileman here tonight just based off of the issue, the innocent bystander to the contact there with Colin Forster coming out of turn 7. So we haven't been able to see Brady Weileman's full potential, but we've been able to see the best of Jaden Porter tonight in that 28, and I think he's actually closed in on the 13, so this battle may not be over for third.
Indeed so, but, you know, I'm hoping later in the season, Kenneth, I was talking to you this in the pre-race, I'll be trying to make that Nashville run once again. Of course, I raced Nashville last season, and I'm looking to make the comeback to the Music City and try and defend that race win. So in 2 weeks' time when the playoffs start, I'll be out there on the racetrack once again trying to capture a win in this series from a track that I've experienced at.
Well, boo-hoo, I'll be all alone in the booth again. Dang, man, that's not going to be fun. But, no, for real, best of luck if you end up at racing at Nashville Super Speedway. Of course, that will be our first race of the playoffs. So, along with Rockingham, Darlington will be in the round of 10 with Talladega and Charlotte. And that round will be a lot of fun. Two very interesting tracks in Nashville, Rockingham, very abrasive surfaces, and two tracks that we did in fact visit last season with the Gen 6 Cup cars. And that time by, the gap has closed down for the race lead. There was almost contact between Peel and Alashire coming into the bus stop. So Peel is not out of it just yet. Lost some time the past couple laps, but he has reeled them back in. That time by, I believe it was his best lap all race long. A 1:10.9 for the 12.
Peel's very fast on the first half of the lap. Up until the bus stop, he has Alashire beat consistently. That's been where he's able to gain the time. Alashire is able to do the second half of the lap fine, which if he keeps this up for the rest of the race, it could work out in his favor. There's 7 laps to go. And of course, the part of the racetrack you want to be fastest is that second half, because if you're able to hold on just enough in this first half, you're better off in the part that you need to be to get back to start-finish line while keeping the lead of the race. You see Peel, though, closing in a good amount there as we go down the back straightaway. The question is he close enough to do anything here at the bus stop? You see a little bit later on the brakes, the back end's kind of moving around, so that tells me he's kind of moved that brake bias a little bit further back. Alashire goes a little bit wide, clips the grass. He's going to have to give a little bit of an advantage there to Peel. He's going to have a little bit of daylight. He's going to almost get into the back of him.
Peel almost gave him the bumper to the heavens, but avoided it by just a couple of inches, and Peel is right there. Alashire may be forced into a mistake, and that last time by through the bus stop, I think that's the best we've seen Peel on this entire run move through those bumps. It seems like every time he's got the braking dialed in, but it's the bumps on the curbs that get him into trouble. That time by way better, and this time we'll close it into 0.2 of a second. 6 laps to go from the Glen.
You see peaks his nose to the bottom, but that's not to make a move. That's to try and put the 14 off by going offline, getting in his head. And as we go up the hill, this is definitely the closest he's been on the entrance to the Estes Kenneth. He's able to have a good run through here and really get a good run through this left-hander right here, and actually misses the apex. That's not exactly good. You see Alashire almost getting into the guardrail again, so Alashire able to hang on once more. Peel did not have a good left-hander there, was kind of offline. Tries to brake late once again, has to make a little bit of a correction. And of course, he does lose a little bit of time this time. A car has spun there just in front of your leaders. You saw the smoke there. So somebody had an offer. I had a moment there where the smoke was remaining, but it's been cleared up for the most part. You see 2 lap cars actually in front of your leaders. It's the 71 of Curtis Kelly and the 5 of Marquis Harris. So these guys, we'll see if they're able to get out of the way of your leaders. And there's a 71, might have some damage to his race car, and that's why he's doing that. The leaders are fast approaching.
And the smoke, I believe, came out of the Chiquita Banana, number 71 of Curtis Kelly. You see the damage there both on the left and right side of the Chevrolet Camaro, and he will not do anything to affect the run for the race lead. Will give way for the 14, but will block in front of Lawson Peel. Peel will have to take dramatic entrance into turn 1, and that's going to lose him a lot of time going up the hill.
Yeah, that wasn't exactly the best of moves there by Curtis Kelly. It looked like he was going to let both of them go, and if we're being honest, probably should have gotten on the brakes a little bit and let both of them go and ensure them a clean turn 1. It's not exactly battling anyone at the moment. Maybe the 5 of Harris, but Harris is several laps down, so that is not a battle for position. So not exactly sure what that may have been there, but fortunately for Peel, didn't lose too much time, and he continues to put a charge on, but we'll see if that ends up costing him in the end.
I think what Curtis Kelly was trying to do there, Francisco, was swerve to the outside so he can at least give the apex to Peel, but he swerved up way too late. Peel was fast approaching, and that was a sketchy situation that could have easily taken Lawson Peel out of contention for the win. He is still about half a second behind, so the race for the win is still not over as Alashire comes out of turn 7 and will catch 4 laps to go from Watkins Glen International on the verge of his first win in Season 4.
Just under 8 miles remaining in this race, so still a lot of things can happen at any given time. The 14 could still make a mistake, or Peel can just dial up something in these last couple laps to extract a little bit more pace to try and get back to the 14. You see the time he lost. It's not much, but it could affect how he's able to close in and do something in terms of being able to catch up to your leader and do anything in regards to doing what he can to get to the lead and get the win. We saw him almost put the bumper to him a couple laps ago in the carousel. The question is, if he gets that close again, does he actually use the bumper?
And we've seen the bumper used before, Watkins Glen. Remember back in 2012, Brad Keselowski, Marco Sambros, or I believe that was 2011, either one of the races that Marco Sambros won. I believe it was 2012. Brad Keselowski and him going at it for the win, and the bumper was used around this part of the track, exit carousel into turn 6. But right now, Lawson Peel is not close enough to get there. There will be 3 laps to go from Watkins Glen, New York in round 17 of the 4Wide Racing Cup Series in Season 4. Bit of a wiggle, almost a strike to the wall for Lawson Peel. It's 0.7 of a second, and that time by Alashire was almost a full tenth faster than second place.
And a reminder to everybody, these guys did pit around lap 31 or so, so they should have enough fuel to go the way we saw guys able to make it at least 25 laps on a max effort. That is about the distance that we had remaining after the restart, so I don't think these guys are on a fuel issue situation here, so they should be able to make it to the end of the race with no problems. There you see the battle for third between Lautenschlager and Porter. This battle is still going on. Jaden Porter wanting to get a top 3 finish by the end of this race. It's still looking likely. We'll see if he's able to pull it off, though. He's going to have to battle one of the veterans of the series in Craig Lautenschlager. We're on board with him now as they go through the bus stop. Lautenschlager kind of gets away from him a little bit right there, and all this going on well behind the leaders. But if Peel's able to get back to the 14, which we see the gap closing, he makes a little bit of a mistake there, then it could have something happen and almost gets into the grass onto the entry of turn 7. So a couple of mistakes there, not helping his case. And right here, this is what the 14 wants to see. That's a teammate, Lance Hill, just in front of him. We'll see if Hill moves out of the way and helps his teammate not have an issue. He moves out of the way there. He's going to try and tuck in behind the 12, and he does so. And that was a really good corner for Peel because he's closed in the gap.
I think the 38 just hurt the chances of the 14. Didn't give him the proper entrance into turn 1. Peel was able to arc it in. The 14 was not. And coming up through the S's, it's a 0.2 of a second gap with 2 laps to go. Down the back straightaway for what could be the penultimate time here from Watkins Glen. A better entrance for Peel. He'll slide in, hop over the bumps, through the grass. The 12 will go. It'll move him out of contention for the lead. And Peel goes around.
He goes into the guardrail, keeps it pointed in the right direction. Hill's going to have to check up a little bit for him. He's going to try and get back past him. I'm not sure if he should have gone for that move there, Ken. If he had another lap, that was definitely his better part of the racetrack, but he had another lap to go. This definitely is going to hurt his chances. I don't think he could get back up there in a lap.
And now it's almost 2 seconds between the 14 and the 12. It may not be good enough for Peel to overcome as the white flag comes out from Watkins Glen International. Jaden Porter has taken over third from Craig Lautenschlager with the 14 of Alashire to turn 1 for the final time.
Oh, and the 38 is going to get spun by the 12 of Peel.
So Peel gets into the 38. Not sure whether that was displeasure or whether it was just a mistake on the exit of turn 1. But the 14 all in his own league. Gap now to 4.6 seconds and growing between Alashire and Peel. Going into this race, Alashire was 77 points below the cut line for the top 15. He was still eligible to win and get into the playoffs for 2022. And all season long, it didn't look like he had the speed, didn't look like he had the power and the finesse to get into the top 15. Was struck with a lot of bad luck. I can remember back at Homestead when he went around a couple of times, did not have the best race, but it all comes back to glory into turn 6 and turn 7 for the final time. Adam Alashire in the Ford Mustang will complete a Stonks Motorsports multi-time winner category. Alashire comes out of turn 7 and wins from Watkins Glen.
And Kenneth, for the third time in 3 attempts, Lawson Peel has finished second on the road course.
There is Peel. As of the timing loop, 5.2 seconds at the start-finish line, short of the race win.
Third.
Craig Lautenschlager got back around Jaden Porter for third, so the Toyota Camry will be on the podium. Jaden Porter in his debut race, you got to give a lot of credit to the Chevrolet tonight, finishes in P4. And how about Brandon Banks finishing in P5? There he is, crossing the start-finish line and coming to a halt as of turn 1. But there is your race winner for the first time this season. Adam Alashire completes the win cycle for Stonks Motorsports after AJ Green picked up the first for the team at Richmond after Lance Hill picked up his first over at Road America, and then Colin Forster completed the trio at Chicagoland, and the quartet is complete. Alashire wins from the Glen. There he is coming out of turn 7, and it will be an ecstatic celebration for the Ford Mustang.
That's another situation like what we saw at Coda, Kenneth, was that we have numerical orders up in the top 3. We have the 13, the 14, and the 12 up in the top 3. Not in that order, but they are the top 3, which is something similar to what we saw at Circuit America's numerical order with Benson, Reedy, and Peel. So just a little bit of a stat there. And there you see some of his teammates coming up to him. He's going to back it up. I think he's trying to turn this around to do some sort of burnout here. Actually, I think he's going to go all the way down to turn 1 and do their typical celebration down here. And there you go. He's going to spin it around and going to celebrate there with his teammates. A good win for him. He needed this, Kenneth. It's been, like I said, it's been a while. Daytona early last season, almost 40 races. If we actually tried to count, it probably would be around that. And all his teammates have gone to victory lane this season. So for him to finally go to victory lane with his teammates and join them on the win column and definitely lock himself into the playoffs is exactly what he needed to do. And it didn't look that way early on, but all the troubles that happened at the halfway point of the race gave him the opportunity, and he was able to seize it. Because if you get an opportunity, even if it's something so rare and so mysterious like this, take advantage of it, and that's exactly what the 14 of Adam Alashire did. He took advantage.
He definitely did. Adam Alashire becomes the 9th different winner in this Season 4 campaign of the 4Wide Racing Cup Series. There's a look at your top 10 unofficial results here from Watkins Glen. Again, with the mid-race issues that we had, technicality with the drivers that were taken out of this race, Kyle Benson, Cody Kinsey among those involved, they will be given compensation points. So these results may not be official, but the win is official for Adam Alashire as he takes home his first win of the season and will be in the playoffs for the campaign. Unbelievable job from Alashire. That's 2 races out of the first playoff race at Nashville Superspeedway that he gets it done. It's the 3rd time in a row we see Lawson Peel come home just short. 2nd place again for the 12 car, but a lot to be taken away positively for Peel here as he made that mistake there with Lance Hill going into turn 1 and ultimately cost him some more time. Craig Lounslager put up a stout race, consistent all race long. Got to give props to the 13. Craig Lounslager wraps up the top 3. We'll try to talk to all 3 of them before we wrap things up here on MaxSpeedTV. Jaden Porter in his first ever 4Wide Cup Series race, he ends up P4 at the road course. A great finish for Porter. Brandon Banks ends up wrapping up the top 5. Matt Roberts, who was hanging around in the back all night long, went spinning out of turn 1 among many of the drivers that did the same. He finishes P6. CJ Winier, didn't talk about him all night long. He's the last driver on the lead lap, P7. Tyler Murray, your league owner, recoups for P8 in the 8 car, 1 lap down. AJ Green in the 3 car ends up P9. And Kevin D'Elia, who was once the leader of this race, wraps up the top 10.
In 11th is the 6 of Michael Newbrough, who spun on the restart. Tony Kivitt finishes in the 12th position. Lance Hill, your Road America winner, will finish in 13th after being part of those issues. Jesse Preece will finish in 14th. Curtis Kelly in 15th with a lot of damage on his race car. Marky Harris, who's running at the end of the race, able to pull it off in P16. Tyler Warner in 17th. Austin Reedy, your Circuit of the Americas winner, part of the problems that happened at the halfway point, will finish 11th. Your fastest car of this race, Kyle Benson, unfortunately for him, was caught up in that mess at the halfway point and will unfortunately finish in 19th place. That he definitely needed this win, is now in a must-win situation going into Kansas, Kenneth. So we'll see if he was able to pull it off in a week. And Colin Forster will round out your top 20 after returning to the racetrack, trying to pick off some spots. And to complete your rest of the field, in 21st, I believe, is going to be the 93 of Cody Kinsey, who was fast early in the race. Christopher Bishop will finish in 22nd, and rounding out your field is the 44 Brady Wildman, who had a good qualifying effort, but of course was caught up in that lap 1 incident and pulled it off to the garage after that.
And the displays on the unofficial results sheet for many drivers not representative of the race that they had, especially with Benson, especially with Brady Weileman, who was doing so well to start and then got into that incident, especially with Cody Kinsey, who was also running well. Think about Tyler Warner was having a clean race, Austin Reedy, Mark Harris, Curtis Kelly, so many drivers who were taken aback by that mid-sim issue in the mid-portion of this race. And of course, we'll get points, and the league owner now explaining to the drivers how the points will be awarded. They will be awarded based on running position at the time of the drop and their finishing position at the end of the race. And they're obviously going to give us updates by the time they try to figure that out. And by Kansas, we will have a better look as to who is in, who's out based on the point standings, and who gets what out of Watkins Glen. But if Adam Alashar is getting anything, it is officially and certainly a win from the Glen here in New York. Adam Alashar, we'll talk to him in victory lane. And Adam, you had to hold off a hard charging Lawson Peel in the final laps. And talk us through first the little issue that happened technically with many drivers to the field and how you were reacting to that as you were running around the top 5, top 10 all race long before.
Well, first I saw Kevin in front of me blinking out, and then I heard Kevin saying it, and I heard Lance saying it. I'm like, oh God, what's happening? And then I looked up, and I'm fine. My internet was fine. iRacing was fine still. So I'm like, well, whatever's happening to everyone else isn't happening to me. And I don't know, everything just went to chaos, and I managed to keep somewhat clean.
You kept it clean, and not only did you have a clean race car, but you had a very fast race car at that. You get your first win of the season. Of course, we talked about it before, bringing you here into the broadcast booth. Your teammates getting wins throughout the season. Lance Hill, Colin Forster, AJ Green. You become the next edition of Stonks Motorsports to get a victory here in Season 4. Walk us through how you feel, your emotions, and how you are going into what's going to be the playoffs, and once again, your second appearance into the run for the championship.
I knew I had to win going into this race, but I knew I wasn't the best car at Watkins Glen. I definitely should not have won this race, but at the end, I guess I picked it up. I was running 111 flats and 110s, I guess. So I don't know who could have known what would happen if everyone stayed in the race. I could have gotten wrecked, who knows. But it was fun battling Lawson for 30, 20 laps, 25 laps.
It was a long while, you and Peel going at it, and I can imagine that the tension's very high behind the wheel. You had to keep Lawson Peel at bay, and he was getting so close lap after lap, but you put up a masterclass job to get this win here from Watkins Glen. Now, you said you weren't expecting to make the playoffs, but you are officially in as of right now. So what are your thoughts about Nashville, for Rockingham, and the rest of the playoffs to try to make your second straight Championship 5 appearance?
I hope I race well like I have been, and I don't get involved in anything that will mess it up for me.
I know things are very crazy since even lap 1 in the standing start here at Watkins Glen, but they made the most out of it. And Alashar, you are a winner, so we'll send you our congratulations for that. But before we let you go to celebrate here from Watkins Glen, before we head off to Kansas and our regular season finale, who do you got to thank for making this all possible?
You guys up in the broadcast booth, you do a good job. The admins, Tyler, for trying to figure out what happened in the middle of the race. They put on a good league, and my girlfriend for watching the race.
Well, we certainly appreciate the time, Adam. Go celebrate that win. We send you our warm congratulations from all of us here at MaxSpeedTV. And, of course, we look forward to seeing you at Kansas 1 week from tonight and the playoffs starting at Nashville. Best of luck and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
That's Adam Alashar, and the 14-year race winner officially. He locks himself in to this 2022 Ford Wide Racing Cup Series playoff field. Once again, it is heartbreak for the 12 of Lawson Peel. Francisco, you're caught up with him on pit road.
Well, Lawson Peel for the third time in as many road course races. We're standing here talking to each other from P2. Before we talk about the racing itself, we kind of asked this question also to Adam, but what is it like going through that situation at the halfway point of the race where a couple of the drivers were having disconnection issues on iRacing?
Yeah, we all hated to see that. Honestly, that hadn't happened in many league races I've been in, so it's just real unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, if it would happen to me, obviously, you just feel like you got the bad end of the stick there. So we were gonna just throw a caution, let everybody get back in, give them their laps back, and then hopefully go back racing again. But the issue kept persisting. So that's really unfortunate. I heard some guys in Discord saying maybe we weren't the only league affected too. So yeah, just unfortunate. But now still give iRacing a lot of credit for 99% of the time it being rock solid. So it's bound to happen. But yeah, we that definitely threw a mix in things. But man, me and Adam had a heck of a race there at the end. That was a lot of fun. So glad it wasn't all ruined. But yeah, for Kyle, he was up there leading the whole race. That's not fun to just disconnect out of the lead like that. So, but I think we're gonna kind of make it right with how we score the points.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. Definitely something you don't see that often. And of course, this wasn't also the only league affected. There was a couple of things that happened on league wide on the service. So you are right on that. But going back to the race itself now, Lawson, just kind of take us through that. You had your issues on lap one, and you spent the rest of the race having to recover that track position. The caution that we didn't expect to come out definitely helped you make up the actual time deficit that you were facing. But can you kind of take us through what it was trying to make up that gap after that mistake? And did you feel that you had anything there for the win?
Yeah, I was certainly in drive as hard as you can mode after the very first corner. So we had that stage start or whatever you call it, which was fine. I got rolling fine, and I think most of the field got going pretty good. That wasn't really the issue. We just got going down into turn one at such a strange speed, and you clean air and the track positions, everything, especially when we're not going to have any cautions. So, Kyle and I were kind of side by side, and I sent it in there probably too hard for the speed I was going, but I didn't really know what to do, and got in there and got sideways, and then overcorrected it back to the left. So made just kind of the bad mistake in that scenario, and put me about, I don't know, 11 seconds back right off the bat, and worked our way all the way up to the first green flag stop, and I had gained some of that back. And then I don't think Kyle took tires on the first stop. Maybe y'all can answer that for me, but I did, and didn't really seem to catch him very much in that second run until all that dropout stuff happened. So I was maybe going to just not take tires the second green flag stop, and I don't know if he would have at that point or not, or if he was just going to go the whole race on the same set. But I was maybe going to do that and see if that could get me back up there in the vicinity to challenge him. I was able to catch him slowly, but I don't know if it would have been enough. We just, don't know. So he was certainly in position to win the race. So I hate all that happened. But we went back for that third stage, and I gave it absolutely everything I had. I'm sure y'all noticed. I mean, I was sending it, and didn't leave anything on the table, and Adam beat me. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, it was an interesting race for sure. And the road course racing this season has been fantastic. Of course, I'm sure you would have hoped to at least gotten a win in one of them, but the P2 is nothing to be upset about. Just continue to build on the good results. There is one race left until the playoffs over at Kansas Speedway next week. What is the mindset going into that race? Is it just about winning the race and trying to get more playoff points, or is there anything specific that you're looking to build, considering that Kansas is, of course, a mile and a half, and half the playoff tracks are mile and a halves?
Well, yeah, those are certainly my favorite tracks, mile and a half. We were at Kansas not too long ago, in real life, and the week of officials, and then the MPI Cup Series that I run. We just had a league race there 3 weeks or so back. So I certainly feel prepared, looking forward to it. It's a good track for me. Kind of single groove, top line racing, kind of hard to pass. But I'll just be going out there and having fun, certainly try to win, but going to be conscious where my teammates are at in their point situations. And, if there's something I can do to help them, certainly going to do that because I have nothing to lose. So, but we'll just go enjoy Kansas and enjoy the mile and a half racing that I love to do. But hats off again to Adam tonight. He just drove a heck of a last run there, and he's just better than me. He beat me flat out. So I had passed him in the first run, and I got to thinking maybe I would after 10 laps or so maybe be a little faster, but I wasn't. I was just following him, seeing if he would make a mistake, and that wasn't happening. So I just started, sending it a little harder each lap down into that bus stop, to the point where I felt like I was almost just full throttling it through there. But he was just beating me significantly in the carousel. I couldn't get through there, and then I couldn't get through 6 and 7 either. So I was a little better in the first half of the track, but he was better in the second half of the track. And I maybe had one shot where I got close enough to him there, but that was it.
Still a good run from you, Lawson. Another top 2 finish, and a lot of things. A lot of people help make this happen. So we'll give you the opportunity to give a shout out to everybody that you get in this situation and get this good result.
Shout out to Tyler Murray and Austin Reedy, Cal Benson, and those guys for putting on the league. We just we're all pretty tight in here, good friends, and have a lot of fun. So love the environment and love being able to race with them. And thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast as always, and sticking with us tonight through the mishaps there. So thanks for coming back, covering the end, and sticking with it there. Hate that happened for us and for y'all. my Drinking Bros teammates, Paul Setup Shop, and all the competitors out here. That drove a great race tonight, and hats off again to Adam.
Appreciate you taking the time with us, Boston, and appreciate you working through the technical issues we had tonight. We hope to see you out in Kansas, and good luck as we begin to move closer to the playoffs. We'll see you in Nashville, hopefully.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, guys.
So that's Lawson P, who comes home just short of the race win and still musters a P2 in his Chevrolet Camaro. Again, 5 wins locked in the playoffs. No worries about winning these road course races, but they have eluded him for a while. We'll kick it back to P3 and the final driver of our driver interview segment on tonight's broadcast. It is the 13 of Craig Lounslager. And Craig, I figure, do you like these stealthy types of races? Because it felt like where everybody could not escape trouble, you were one of the cleanest drivers all race long, and you end up getting a P3. That must feel good after tonight's festivities.
Yeah, I can't really ask for much better than that. I felt like I got pretty lucky all night. I showed up for practice way later than I wanted to, so I really didn't feel like I was prepared enough going to this race to fight for a win, but I still had, I think, one of the faster cars out there when I was actually able to focus. But I don't know, sometimes you have races like that where the C parts and you're on the right server, I guess, that doesn't crash or something. But yeah, I can't complain with the third place there.
And of course, we can't ignore the technical issues for a majority of the field. I believe you were not stricken with it like some drivers were, so you were on the lucky end of that. You stayed in the session while things were going on. But walk us through that final run against Jaden Porter. Jaden Porter, a debut driver, you and him going at it for third. How fun was that to race him in the final stint?
Yeah, he was a good, clean racing for the most part. I pulled away from him at one point, and I was really holding my own against the top two, but I just never got close enough, so I kind of lost focus. He came back to me, and I just got the last 5 laps or so. I just wanted to run consistent lap times, and outside of a dive bomb late in the race that he apologized for, it was a real good, clean racing. So we're glad to have him here, and yeah, it's good to be pushed late in the race like that.
It was a lot of fun, you and that 28 going at it for the final spot on the podium, but now we focus to playoff contention. You coming in this race over 100 points above the cut line, so you're basically locked in without being called officially locked in. This finish should basically get you in to the season 4 playoffs. So walk us through your mindset now that you're moving into Kansas to final regular season race, and of course our first playoff trip at Nashville Super Speedway in a couple of weeks' time.
Just kind of gotta do what I normally do, is go out there and try to win the race. I think that the latter half of the season, particularly the playoffs, works really well for me. The first round and the second round have Nashville and Darlington, which are 2 of my best tracks. So I think I'll be as fast as anyone in the playoffs, and definitely looking to make it count and hopefully make it through the first 2 rounds and hopefully make it count in the last round. So I'm looking forward to it, honestly.
Well, we saw how fast you were with the Gen 6 cars at Darlington. No surprise that you may be faster with these next-gen cars this year. Craig, before we let you go here on this third-place finish, anybody you want to thank for making tonight's run possible?
I think just the league owner, Tyler Murray, anyone who got kicked from that server thing for being, I guess, understanding and not being too pissed. If you're being a good sport about it, that's awesome. So yeah, I feel for those guys, but yeah, just anyone who made the race a good race is I'm thanking. Also, iRacing for fixing the darn next gen car and road courses for sure.
Well, we talked about a lot of those updates, and I could tell, I think a lot of drivers were happy with the way these cars handle now on these left and right hand tracks. Craig, on behalf of our team here, want to send you a congratulations here on this third place finish from Watkins Glen, and of course, wishing you the best of luck as we move to Kansas next week and for the playoffs in 2022. Best of luck. Congratulations on the third place once again.
Thanks. Looking forward to it.
So Craig Lounslager ends up in P3, brings the 13 Toyota Camry to the final spot on the podium, and we have a chance, Francisco, now to kind of reassess our situation and get our thoughts as to what happened here from the Watkins Glen International. So much to talk about, of course. The race up until the point we talked about some of the fuel strategy, some of the 2-stop action that we were seeing, and some undercuts, some overcuts, and then, of course, the big glaring thing that happened in the middle of the race. Unfortunately, the service issues caught a lot of drivers off guard, sent them out of the race, including ourselves as broadcasters spectating the event. Kyle Benson took it out of the race to lead, but still a great way to pick it all up, and this shot right here on the bus stop. I think could tell you the entire story. Peel and Alashire, an amazing fight to the end, and Alashire his first win.
Yeah, it was these road courses, man, this season. Something about them, just they delivered every single time. And you think about road course racing in general and iRacing, and usually it's very spread out, and you kind of have one guy kind of pulling away, maybe two. But this season, that has not been the case at all. It has been thrilling from start to finish, and I think that's something we can appreciate very much out of both the cars and these drivers for being able to do that and give us a good show. So hats off to these guys all season long and be able to do this on the road courses. And of course, the issues that we suffered halfway, it's not what you want to see happen to the guys that were affected and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to see that happen to anybody, but it did. It kind of reset the race for some of these guys, and it allowed Alashire to get an opportunity to get into this position and race for a win. And like I said, he was able to take advantage of it at the end of the day. He was given an opportunity, and he rose to the occasion and was able to defeat Lawson Peel in a head-to-head battle and take home the win for himself and Stonks Motorsports, which is what they needed. They wanted to get another win on the season. And with that being said, Kenneth, we do move to one race away from the playoffs, and that race, of course, being at Kansas. That race I don't think is going to be broadcasted. I believe you are going to be on vacation, a much-needed vacation, so I hope you have a good break. And we'll be back in action for Nashville Super Speedway, as previously mentioned. It'll be you in the booth for that one. I'll be out on the racetrack in my Toyota Camry GameStop Toyota Camry with Sonic the Hedgehog on the race car. So I can't wait to have that car out here and be able to have it on the broadcast. I think it'll be a fun time for me.
You better go very fast. That's all I'm going to tell you. That's all the advice. That's all the advice I'm going to give you for Nashville Super Speedway. All right. Well, you'll be at Nashville Super Speedway. Unfortunately, we will not have coverage for Kansas next week, but of course, we will have all the updates throughout in between. And of course, for our first playoff race at Nashville, when we head over to the Music City. And also to note, 3 different road courses this season, 3 different states, 3 different winners. I think that's an awesome stat to bring up, and I think a testament to how good these road course races have become this season, and they may be a mainstay here in the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series. So always awesome to see that, and to see each driver get to victory lane in 3 very different but very unique scenarios. As we watched the 14, that was around the carousel in the final laps of the race, and that was pretty much what sealed it between himself and Lawson Peel for the win. Of course, a lot to look forward to. We will not have coverage of the 4 Wide Racing Cup Series from Kansas, but if you do want to spectate it on the iRacing side, you could. The coverage starts at 9:10 p.m. Eastern. You'll have it next week, June 22nd. That'll be Wednesday night. Before we kick off things, MaxSpeedTV for ACOG. The iRacing Series kicks off Wednesday next week. That'll be the Bronze Series at Daytona. Basically, every series starting at Daytona. The ARCA cars first. Then we'll have the Truck Series on Friday. We'll have the Cup Series on Saturday. And the Xfinity Series, the Gold National Series, fixturing in on Sunday night. So if you want to have something to look forward to, we'll have more leagues on MaxSpeedTV throughout the week as well, but ACOG will have that as well throughout the weekend. So be sure to look out for that. And be sure to look out for our next race 2 weeks from tonight on MaxSpeedTV. We'll have it featured 9:10 p.m. Eastern from the virtual Nashville Super Speedway. We'll see where the 15 lie after the first race of the round of 15 in the playoffs as we continue to get closer to the run for the championship. So for league owner Tyler Murray and everyone from the admin team and Race Council, and from all of us at MaxSpeedTV, and for my colleague Francisco Bacalhau in the broadcast booth tonight, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long and good night from Watkins, Glen. Congratulations to Adam Alashire on his first win in Season 4. We head to Nashville Super Speedway, the Music City, 2 weeks from tonight. We'll see you there. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.